Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. Without discipline, even the greatest talent will crumble and even the brightest vision will fade away. Success is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice, and that choice is rooted in discipline. To master discipline is to master yourself. And when you master yourself, you can master anything in life. Every person has goals, ambitions, and dreams, but only those who cultivate discipline are able to transform them into reality. Discipline is not about punishment or restriction. It is about power. It is the power to stay consistent when motivation fades, the power to do what must be done even when you don't feel like it, and the power to stay focused in a world filled with distractions. When you master discipline, you no longer rely on moods, feelings, or external circumstances. You build habits that push you forward every single day. Discipline makes you resilient. Discipline gives you clarity. Discipline helps you grow beyond comfort and step into greatness. It is not about being perfect. It is about being persistent. Discipline is not built overnight. It is built daily through small actions that accumulate into extraordinary results. The people who achieve the impossible are not necessarily the most talented or the most gifted. They are simply the most disciplined. If you want to change your life, you must first change your habits. And if you want to change your habits, you must master discipline. That is the key to unlocking your full potential. So commit today, master discipline, and you will master your future. Discipline is the foundation of success. Without discipline, even the best goals and dreams cannot be achieved. Discipline is self-mastery. It is the ability to control your mind, emotions, and actions. Motivation fades. Discipline remains. Motivation may get you started, but discipline keeps you going. Consistency beats talent. Talent without discipline is wasted potential. Discipline creates lasting results. Discipline is built daily through small habits and repeated actions. Discipline grows stronger. Discipline gives freedom. True freedom comes from having the control to live intentionally, not impulsively. Discipline overcomes distractions. It keeps your focus sharp in a noisy, chaotic world. Discipline fuels resilience. It allows you to keep going despite challenges and setbacks. Discipline is not perfection. It's about persistence and commitment, not flawlessness. Mastering discipline unlocks potential. Once you master discipline, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Every building that stands tall, every bridge that connects two worlds, every monument that inspires generations has one thing in common: a strong foundation. Without that foundation, no matter how beautiful, how tall, or how impressive the structure may appear, it will eventually collapse. The same principle applies to human achievement. Success in any form, whether personal, professional, financial, or spiritual, rests upon a foundation. And that foundation is discipline. Discipline is the backbone of every success story. It is the invisible force that carries individuals from where they are to where they want to be. Think about the greatest athletes, the most respected leaders, the most innovative entrepreneurs, or the most profound artists. Their journeys are not defined solely by talent, luck, or opportunity. They are defined by an unshakable discipline that keeps them focused and consistent even when the journey is tough, even when no one is watching, and even when every fiber of their being tells them to quit. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction, a form of limitation that cages us from living freely. But the truth is the exact opposite. Discipline is not a prison. It is a passport to freedom. It is the structure that allows creativity to flourish, dreams to manifest, and goals to be accomplished. Without discipline, freedom turns into chaos. A person without discipline may feel free for a while, but soon they are enslaved by procrastination, laziness, distractions, and unfulfilled potential. True freedom lies in the power of choice. The choice to rise early, to commit to a plan, to work hard, to stay focused, to sacrifice comfort for progress. Discipline gives you that power. Imagine a student preparing for exams. Two students may have the same level of intelligence, access to the same resources, and equal opportunities. One chooses to study a little every day, keeping consistent and organized, while the other delays until the last moment, relying on bursts of effort. On exam day, the disciplined student walks in confident, prepared, and calm, while the other walks in anxious, underprepared, and regretful. The difference is not ability, it is discipline. This truth extends far beyond academics. Consider bodybuilder. Building muscle strength and endurance is not achieved in a single workout, but in countless disciplined repetitions, day after day, week after week, year after year. Without discipline, the weights would remain untouched, the diet would be ignored, the training would be inconsistent. Success in fitness, just like in life, is earned not in sudden acts of effort, but in disciplined consistency. Even in the corporate world, discipline is what separates companies that last for decades from those that rise fast and fall faster. Disciplined planning, disciplined execution, disciplined leadership. These are the principles that allow businesses to weather storms and grow stronger over time. Without discipline, ideas remain just ideas, plans remain only on paper, and visions never materialize. But discipline is not just about grand achievements. It is about the small, daily choices that accumulate into massive results. Waking up when you said you would, choosing to read instead of scrolling endlessly on social media, investing in your health instead of indulging in temporary pleasures, practicing patience instead of reacting impulsively. These small acts of discipline shape your character, and your character shapes your destiny. It is often said that motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Motivation is fleeting. It rises and falls with your mood, your environment, or your circumstances. One day you feel unstoppable, the next day you feel unmotivated and drained. If you rely only on motivation, you will be inconsistent. But discipline does not depend on how you feel. It depends on who you choose to be. Discipline says, I will do it whether I feel like it or not. That is why discipline is stronger than motivation. History is filled with examples of people who proved that discipline is the true foundation of success. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb, but he stayed disciplined in his experiments. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, but his disciplined practice turned him into one of the greatest athletes in history. Nelson Mandela endured 27 years in prison, maintaining his discipline and focus on his mission, and later emerged as a leader who transformed a nation. None of these individuals succeeded by accident. They succeeded because they built their lives on discipline. Discipline is not glamorous. It is not exciting in the moment. It often feels boring, repetitive, and thankless. But it is in these moments of discipline that true greatness is forged. The athlete running laps at dawn, the writer writing every morning, the entrepreneur planning long after the world has gone to sleep. These acts of discipline may seem small and invisible, but they create extraordinary results over time. If success is the house you dream to build, then discipline is the concrete foundation beneath it. Without it, your efforts will crumble. With it, you can build as high and as wide as your imagination allows. At its core, discipline is not about rules set by others, nor is it about external control. True discipline is self-mastery, the art of governing your own mind, emotions, and actions. To master discipline is to master yourself. And when you master yourself, no external obstacle can truly defeat you. Self-mastery begins with awareness. Most people move through life as prisoners of their impulses. They eat when they are tempted. They speak when they feel angry. They procrastinate when the work feels difficult. They quit when the road becomes tough. In other words, they are controlled by their emotions, by fleeting feelings, and by temporary circumstances. But discipline transforms you into the driver of your own life. It gives you the ability to say, I will not let this emotion control me. I will not let this distraction own me. I will not let this weakness define me. That is the essence of self-mastery. Think about the strongest individuals you know, not physically, but mentally and emotionally. What sets them apart? It's not that they never feel fear, doubt, laziness, or temptation. It's that they do not allow those feelings to dictate their choices. They feel fear, but they act with courage. They feel doubt, but they move forward anyway. They feel tired, but they show up and do the work. That is, discipline is self-mastery, the ability to rise above momentary emotions and stay loyal to long-term values. Consider anger. How many lives have been ruined because someone lacked the discipline to control their anger? Words said in rage can destroy relationships. Actions taken in fury can end careers. But the disciplined individual, the one who has mastered themselves, learns to pause, to breathe, to think, to respond instead of react. That control is not weakness. It is strength of the highest order. Anyone can lash out, but only the disciplined can hold back. Now consider desire. You are. Our world is full of temptations. Fast food instead of healthy meals. Entertainment instead of education. Instant gratification instead of delayed reward. Desire itself is not wrong, but uncontrolled desire leads to destruction. Discipline teaches self-mastery by showing us how to choose what we want most over what we want now. The disciplined person understands that sacrificing short-term pleasure creates long-term fulfillment. They don't deny themselves joy. They simply learn to prioritize wisely. Self-mastery also extends to the mind. Thoughts can either empower us or enslave us. A person without discipline may allow negative thoughts, doubts, and fears to dominate their mind, leading to paralysis and inaction. A person with discipline, however, trains their mind to focus on solutions, on possibilities, on growth. Just as an athlete trains their muscles, a disciplined person trains their mind, cultivating clarity, resilience, and positivity. Look at history's greatest leaders and thinkers. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, wrote about the importance of mastering the self, controlling one's desires, emotions, and actions. His meditations are a testament to the belief that power over others is meaningless without power over oneself. Similarly, Mahatma Gandhi mastered himself through discipline in thought, speech, and action. His self-mastery allowed him to lead a movement that changed the course of history without lifting a weapon. In sports, self-mastery is equally clear. Serena Williams did not become one of the greatest tennis players by chance. Her discipline gave her the ability to master her body and mind. Even under immense pressure with millions watching, she controlled her emotions, stayed focused, and executed with precision. That kind of composure does not come from talent alone. It comes from years of disciplined self-mastery. Self-mastery also requires knowing when to act and when to wait. Discipline is not only about pushing forward, it is also about restraint. It is the wisdom to conserve energy when necessary, to delay gratification, to hold your tongue, to wait for the right opportunity. This balance of action and restraint is what makes discipline powerful. A river that flows without discipline floods and destroys. But a river that is guided by boundaries generates energy, life, and progress. One of the most profound aspects of self-mastery is the transformation it creates in identity. When you practice discipline consistently, you no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstances. You begin to see yourself as a creator of outcomes. You stop saying, "I can't help it," and start saying, "I choose differently." That shift in identity, from helplessness to mastery, is life-changing. Self-mastery is not about suppressing who you are. It is about unlocking who you can become. It's about channeling your energy into what truly matters, rather than wasting it on distractions and impulses. When you master yourself, you gain confidence because you can trust yourself. You no longer fear failure because you know you can discipline yourself to try again. You no longer fear challenges because you know you have control over how you respond. You no longer fear the unknown because you have built an inner strength that nothing external can shake. Discipline as self-mastery is a lifelong practice. It is not achieved in a single day, nor is it ever complete. Every new level of growth tests your discipline in new ways. But each victory over self creates a stronger foundation for the next challenge. The more you practice, the more you expand your ability to control your mind, your emotions, and your actions. And with that control, you can direct your life in the direction of greatness. Motivation is a spark. It lights the fire within us, it excites us, it gives us a glimpse of what's possible. But as powerful as motivation may feel in the moment, it is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. Discipline, however, is not a spark. It is the steady flame that continues to burn long after the initial excitement has vanished. Motivation can start the journey, but only discipline can carry you to the destination. Everyone knows what it feels like to be motivated. You watch an inspiring video, read a powerful book, listen to a speech that moves you, and suddenly you're filled with energy. You feel unstoppable. In that moment, you're ready to conquer the world, to chase your goals, to rewrite your future. But what happens the next day when you wake up tired? What happens when the weather is gloomy, when your friends are distracted, when your workload feels heavy, when no one is cheering you? That surge of motivation begins to fade. Your energy drops. The vision that felt so clear yesterday now feels distant. This is the moment where most people quit. They started strong because of motivation, but they lacked the discipline to keep going when motivation disappeared. Discipline is different. Discipline does not care about feelings. Discipline does not rely on perfect conditions. Discipline does not wait for the right mood. Discipline is action taken regardless of circumstances. It is showing up to the gym when you're tired. It is opening your books when you'd rather watch television. It is working on your business when no one believes in you. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Discipline says, it doesn't matter how I feel. I made a commitment. This is why the most successful people in any field do not depend on motivation. They depend on discipline. Olympic athletes don't wake up motivated every morning. Writers don't always feel inspired to write. Entrepreneurs don't always feel excited to keep pushing through obstacles. But they do it anyway, because discipline keeps them consistent. The world sees their highlights, but what really builds their success are the countless disciplined actions they take when no one is watching. Think of motivation as the weather. It changes constantly. Some days are sunny, some days are stormy, and some days are cold and dark. Cold. If you only act when the weather is perfect, you'll accomplish very little. Discipline, however, is like a compass. It doesn't change with the weather. It always points you in the right direction. When storms come, the compass still works. When the skies are clear, the compass still works. A compass still works. Discipline keeps you moving forward, no matter what the weather of your emotions or circumstances may be. Take the example of someone pursuing fitness. At the start of the year, gyms are full of people highly motivated by resolutions. But by February, the crowd thins out. Why? Because motivation got them started, but it wasn't strong enough to keep them going. Those who remain are the ones who build discipline. They don't rely on the excitement of a new year, new me. They have trained themselves to show up, rain or shine, excitement or boredom, motivated or unmotivated. Over time, their discipline transforms their bodies and their lives, while the motivated but undisciplined return to old habits. Discipline also builds something that motivation never can: resilience. Motivation is fragile, it vanishes at the first sign of struggle. But discipline grows stronger in the face of adversity. When you practice discipline, you build habits that sustain you when times get tough. You don't collapse under pressure because your actions are no longer tied to how you feel in the moment. You become reliable, consistent, unshakable. Discipline turns effort into habit and habit into results. Another important truth is that motivation is often external. It is sparked by something outside of us, a story, a speech, a reward. But discipline is internal. It comes from within. It is rooted in character. When you live with discipline, you no longer need external fuel to keep moving. You create your own energy through consistency. You learn to trust yourself because you've proven that you can act even when you don't feel like it. Motivation can be the reason you start, but discipline becomes the reason you finish. The student who studies every day, the entrepreneur who works long after everyone else has stopped, the athlete who trains through pain, these are not people running on motivation. They are running on discipline. And because of that, they go further than those who rely only on motivation. In life, there will be days when you feel motivated and you should embrace them. They give you a powerful push. But you must never build your future on motivation alone. It is too fragile, too temporary, too inconsistent. Discipline is the foundation you can trust. It is the force that keeps you moving when motivation has long disappeared. It is the reason why ordinary people achieve extraordinary results. Though talent is a gift, but consistency is a choice. Talent may give you an advantage in the beginning, but it is consistency that determines where you finish. History is full of examples of talented individuals who never reach their potential because they lack consistency, and it is equally full of individuals with average talent who became extraordinary because they mastered the discipline of showing up day after day. Whoa. Talent can open the door, but consistency keeps it open. Imagine two runners at the start of a marathon. One is naturally gifted with speed and athletic ability, while the other is ordinary, not particularly fast but disciplined. At the sound of the gun, the talented runner surges ahead with ease. But as the miles stretch on, fatigue sets in. The talented runner, who has relied only on ability and bursts of energy, begins to slow. Meanwhile, the consistent runner keeps a steady pace. Step by step, mile by mile, they move forward. In the end, a consistent runner crosses the finish line stronger than the one who relied only on talent. This is the truth of life. Talent gives you a head start, but consistency determines the outcome. The world often glorifies talent. We admire the child prodigy who plays music effortlessly, the athlete who dominates the game at a young age, the entrepreneur with a brilliant idea. But what we fail to see is that talent without discipline and consistency quickly fades. The prodigy who never practices loses their edge. The athlete who doesn't train falls behind. The entrepreneur with ideas but no execution is forgotten. Talent is potential. Consistency is progress. And progress will always surpass potential that is never realized. Consistency is powerful because it compounds. A single workout may not transform your body, but daily workouts, repeated over months and years, create undeniable results. Reading one page of a book may not make you wise, but reading daily builds knowledge and perspective. Writing a few words each day may not seem significant, but those words accumulate into chapters, then into books. Consistency turns small, ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes. Think of water dripping on stone. One drop of water does nothing, but a steady, consistent drip over years can carve through rock. That is the power of consistency. It wears down resistance, breaks through barriers, and creates lasting impact. Talent may be flashy, but consistency is unstoppable. Consider the story of Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Yes, he had talent, but what set him apart was his legendary consistency. He was known for arriving at the gym hours before anyone else, practicing relentlessly, refining every detail of his game. While others relied on talent alone, Kobe relied on consistency. His greatness was not an accident. It was the product of disciplined, consistent effort over decades. Another example is Thomas Edison. He was not the most naturally gifted scientist, but his relentless consistency led to more than 1,000 patents. He famously said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. That perspiration is consistency." He didn't stop after one failure or 10 failures. He stayed consistent through thousands of trials until success was inevitable. Consistency is also what creates trust, both with yourself and with others. When you are consistent, people know they can rely on you. Your boss, your teammates, your family, your friends, they trust you because your actions are steady and dependable. More importantly, you begin to trust yourself. When you consistently follow through on your commitments, you build self-confidence. You no longer doubt your ability to achieve because you have proven through repetition that you can. On the other hand, can be unpredictable. It may shine brightly at times, but it flickers when pressure builds. Consistency, however, thrives under pressure because it is built on habits, not moods. A consistent person doesn't need to feel inspired every day. They simply do the work. And in doing the work, they achieve results that talent alone could never guarantee. Think about writers like Stephen King. Writers like Stephen King. He didn't write best-selling novels because of pure talent. He writes every single day, even when he doesn't feel like it. That consistency produced dozens of books and an unmatched legacy in literature. Talent gave him the ability to write, but consistency gave him a career that has influenced generations. Even in personal growth, consistency is the great equalizer. Someone may be naturally disciplined, naturally intelligent, or naturally charismatic. But if they are inconsistent, their potential remains untapped. Meanwhile, someone who simply shows up every day, learning, improving, working, will surpass them in the long run. Life is not a sprint, it is a marathon. You don't need to win every battle to build discipline. You just need to win more battles than you lose. There will be days when you stumble, days when you give in, days when you fail to follow through. That is normal. But discipline is not destroyed by a single failure. It is built by returning the next day and trying again. The daily commitment, even after setbacks, is what creates lasting discipline. It's also important to understand that building discipline daily requires patience. We live in a world of instant gratification, where everything is designed to give quick results. Fast food, instant downloads, one-click shopping. But discipline is the opposite of instant gratification. It is about playing the long game, understanding that the results of today's choices may not show up immediately, but they will compound over time. The disciplined person plants seeds daily, knowing that the harvest will come later. Consider an oak tree. It doesn't grow overnight. It starts as a tiny seed, watered daily, nourished consistently. Over time, it grows roots, builds strength, and eventually becomes mighty. Discipline works the same way. Your daily actions are the water and sunlight. Each day you practice discipline. Your roots grow deeper, your foundation becomes stronger, and your potential expands. One of the best ways to build discipline daily is through small, intentional challenges. For example, making your bed every morning may seem trivial, but it sets the tone for a disciplined day. Taking a cold shower may feel uncomfortable, but it strengthens your ability to act despite discomfort. These small challenges, when practiced daily, develop the mental toughness that translates into bigger achievements. Ultimately, discipline is not built in extraordinary moments. It is built in ordinary ones. It is built when you get up instead of hitting snooze. It is built when you finish your work instead of procrastinating. It is built when you practice self-control instead of giving in to impulse. These daily victories may not seem glamorous, but they are the foundation of success. Discipline is not something you wait for. It is something you create, moment by moment, choice by choice, day by day. At first, the idea may sound strange. How can discipline, which is about structure, rules, and self-control, give freedom, which is about choice, flexibility, and independence? Most people believe that discipline restricts life, that it cages them, that it takes away fun and spontaneity. But this is one of the greatest misconceptions about discipline. The truth is that discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the very thing that makes freedom possible. Without discipline, people often become prisoners, not of rules, but of their own impulses. The person without discipline thinks they are free because they can eat what they want, sleep whenever they want, and do whatever they feel like in the moment. But over time, this so-called freedom turns into chains. Poor health, wasted potential, broken promises, and unfulfilled dreams are the consequences of undisciplined living. That is not freedom, it is slavery to one's impulses. True freedom is the ability to live life on your own terms, to pursue your highest potential, and to achieve your deepest goals. And that freedom is only possible when you have the discipline to control yourself. Discipline is the tool that sets you free from procrastination, from distraction, from addiction, from regret. It gives you the freedom to choose your future instead of being trapped by your habits. Consider financial freedom. Everyone wants it. Freedom from debt, freedom from living paycheck to paycheck, freedom to enjoy life without constant stress. But financial freedom does not come from spending impulsively or indulging in every desire. It comes from discipline, discipline in saving, discipline in budgeting, discipline in investing, discipline in delaying gratification. The disciplined person sacrifices a little to gain a lot tomorrow. Their discipline gives them freedom, while the undisciplined person remains chained to bills, loans, and financial stress. Now think about health. True freedom in health is the ability to move your body without pain, to have the energy to live fully, to enjoy life without being held back by sickness. That freedom does not come from eating everything you crave or skipping exercise whenever you feel lazy. It comes from discipline. Discipline in eating well, exercising regularly, sleeping enough, and taking care of your body. Without discipline, your body eventually becomes a prison. With discipline, your body becomes a vehicle of freedom. The same is true in time management. Many people feel overwhelmed, constantly rushing, constantly stressed, never having enough time for what they love. They live in chaos, saying yes to distractions and no to priorities. But those who practice discipline with their time create structure, and that structure gives them freedom. By managing their hours wisely, they free themselves from stress and create time for growth, relationships, rest, and joy. It may look restrictive at first, but in reality, discipline with time gives more space to live. Even in creativity, discipline is what creates freedom. A painter who never practices technique, who never disciplines their craft, may feel free, but their lack of skill limits their ability to express themselves. A writer who only writes when inspiration strikes may never finish a book. But disciplined artists, those who practice daily, who refine their technique, who commit to their work, gain the freedom to create without limits. Their discipline gives them the tools to fully express their imagination. Discipline is also the foundation of emotional freedom. Imagine being free from anger controlling you, from fear paralyzing you, from laziness holding you back. This kind of freedom is only possible through self-discipline, by learning to master your emotions instead of being mastered by them. The disciplined person may still feel fear, anger, or doubt, but they do not let those emotions dictate their actions. They are free to choose a response rather than being enslaved by reaction. One of the clearest examples of discipline creating freedom can be seen in elite athletes. Wow. A sprinter trains daily, following strict routines, strict diets, strict schedules. To an outsider, it may look restrictive, even suffocating. But when race day comes, when the athlete explodes off the starting line and experiences the joy of pure performance, that is freedom. Hans pure is freedom. The discipline in the background created the freedom on the stage. In business too, discipline creates freedom. Entrepreneurs often talk about wanting financial freedom or a time freedom. But those freedoms don't come from random actions or luck. They come from disciplined habits, disciplined planning, disciplined execution, disciplined leadership. Once the foundation of discipline is in place, the entrepreneur gains the freedom to design life on their own terms, to step away from chaos and into control. Discipline also creates freedom from regret. One of the heaviest burdens in life is regret. Regret over missed opportunities, over wasted time, over things left undone. But when you live with discipline, you act, you commit, you follow through. And because of that, you free yourself from the pain of a what if. You may not always succeed, but discipline ensures that you try, and trying brings peace that quitting never can. This is why discipline should never be seen as a restriction. It is the opposite. It is the most liberating force you can cultivate. Discipline creates order, and order creates freedom. When you live without discipline, you are tossed around by circumstances, controlled by impulses, enslaved by distractions. When you live with discipline, you take control of your life, and that control gives you freedom. The freedom to live fully, to pursue greatness, and to experience life without change. Discipline is not just a habit, it is a way of life. It is the force that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. It is the difference between dreams that fade away and dreams that become reality. Discipline is self-mastery. It is freedom. It is resilience. It is the silent strength that carries you when motivation fails and talent is not enough. Every great success story has the same thread woven through it: discipline. Not luck, not shortcuts, not overnight miracles, discipline. The world will always try to pull you into distractions, temptations, and excuses. But if you choose discipline, you choose power, you choose growth, you choose greatness. Understand this: you do not need to be the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented to succeed. But you must be disciplined. But discipline makes you consistent. Consistency builds habits, shape character, and character determines destiny. So from this day forward, make a commitment not to be perfect, but to be disciplined. To show up every day, to fight for your goals every day, to stay focused every day, to stay focused every day. Your discipline will become your identity, and your identity will shape the life you create. Master discipline, and you will master your future. Master discipline, and nothing will be impossible for you.